News with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Rose McGowan making headlines again, calling somebody else out for their behavior in the past. She's now accused director Alexander Payne of sexual misconduct. The actress who helped kick off the whole Me Too movement after accusing Harvey Weinstein tweeted on Monday about the alleged encounter, which she says took place when she was 15. We're looking at a little gif of her saying no. And it says, Alexander Payne, you sat me down and played a softcore porn movie you directed for Showtime under a different name. I still remember your apartment in Silver Lake. You're very well endowed. You left me on a street corner afterwards. I was 15.
I like that very well endowed part. So, like, Payne is like talking to his publicist, like, what's going on? Good news and bad news.
Well, depends.
Some good stuff in there.
Maybe that mad. She went on to say that she doesn't want to destroy him. She just wants an acknowledgement and an apology.
Boy, how much different would you process this information from 1999 to 2020? Hey, Rose McGowan's trying to get a hold of you.
Oh.
Very different.
A very different reaction in 1999 to the one I'd have now. And then what is worse? Ronan Farrow is trying to get a hold of you, or Rose McGowan's trying to get a hold of you?
Same.
I will point out that 1999 was the year that Mr. Payne wrote and directed Election, starring a young girl, which would Rose McGowan would have been ripe for the part, so to speak. So circumstantial evidence lines up.
So what is his body of work, Brian? I mean, Election's an all-time great.
He's made some great.
He's made some great movies. Sideways,
love that.
Election, The Descendants, which I really liked.
Yeah.
Nebraska came out a couple years ago. Downsizing was kind of a bomb. That was the one where Matt Damon becomes tiny.
I liked that movie.
I didn't see it. I just heard it was.
I've seen it. I think I saw it twice.
But he's made some. Citizen Ruth's a really good movie too. He's made some great movies.
So she's accusing him of showing her the softcore porn,
and apparently showing his cash and prizes, because she said, you were very well endowed. You left me on a street corner afterwards.
Is she saying they had sex? I don't know.
Something sexual
Exposed himself. Yeah.
And she said she was 15. So, build a time machine, boys, because that shit ain't flying now.
Oh, my God. Yeah, well, God, I mean, you have to have a recollection if you crossed Rose McGowan, right? I mean, it has to be sitting there in your head somewhere, right? I mean, you'd know it, wouldn't you?
A normal person would. Hopefully this isn't a pattern of behavior for Mr. Payne. It hopefully hasn't done this a number of times that he would forget.
Well, do you guys, I'm sort of the school, which is, if it's kind of the Chris D'Elia way, which is something drops and then a whole bunch of other stuff drops, because these things aren't isolated. If this is your thing, this is your thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Reese Witherspoon may have a similar story, for example.
I was going to absolutely.
Who knows? Liv Tyler, whoever was, a young ingenue of the time.
Yes, my feeling is I sort of hear the first story and then I wait to hear the pattern. Probably most clearly illustrated with Bill Cosby, right? Once you start hearing that pattern, then I'm in. If I don't hear anybody else talk about it, I don't think it didn't happen. I tend to think it's just he's not that guy. It still could have happened. Jim Belushi is trying to rejoin us, I do believe.
There he is.
All right, so we'll keep all that. Jim, at the risk of asking a horrible question. Oh, wait, where is he? Have you been taken out into the public square and spanked for anything you did 20 years ago? Did you have some wild days that you hope people forget about? A sordid past?
No, the only thing that bothers me is I've been divorced a couple times, and with kids, it's something that I wish I was more mature enough to have gotten through. Those kinds of things really haunt me.
First off, it's such a, not in this particular case we're just talking about, but I just mean the general. So I guess there's two categories. So you have the sort of criminal behavior category, and then you just have the of the times category. Like we look back and we go, this guy said the word Negro. And it's like, well, if that's what everyone said, then it's hard to bust you on the of the times. And there's a kind of Me Too of the times. There's a kind of getting drunk, getting rowdy, slapping the waitress on the ass version of Me Too.
No.
Not you?
No. I was, yeah, no. Not at all. I'm like a Midwest kid, man. I don't know.
Our next guest claims.
I was so focused. I mean, I'm so hyper focused on the work. I mean, my sister-in-law, Judy, who I'm visiting, she said, if there was ever a past life that you would have had, she said, John would have been a Japanese warrior and you would have been a Chinese warrior. And I just attacked my work with just so focused on it that I wasn't as social. I wasn't like a party guy. I mean, in college, yeah, but even in college, I was doing 2 plays at once. I was running the technical direction of a oral interp theater. I couldn't even meet my buddies for beers half the time.
All right. Sorry, Gina. What else you got?
Well, Mr. Belushi came back just in time because there's been a new announcement for a remake of a movie that I know you all like very much and for good reason. Will Smith and Kevin Hart are teaming up for a remake of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Wow.
Written and directed by John Hughes, starred Steve Martin, John Candy as the sort of odd couple forced to become traveling partners as they're trying to get home for Thanksgiving. Yeah.
You would even attempt that.
Yeah, it's being attempted. The remake will be written by Aisha Carr, whose credits include Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the upcoming Hulu series Woke.
John Hughes has like iconic movies for a reason, Breakfast Club and 16 Candles. It's just so many. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is my favorite John Hughes movie. It's so heartfelt and it's a really good movie.
Yes.
Johnny Candy made that movie. I mean,
absolutely.
And Steve, they had a. I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, they're both talented actors, so
I don't know.
That would be hard to do. It was easier for me to do Saturday Night Live after John died than it would be to me to remake Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
My feeling is, I feel kind of the same way about covering songs or sampling songs. Just go make your own song. Just make a new song. That's fine.
I always say you're not allowed to get famous off a cover.
And also, it's kind of weird that we're doing like a black version of everything. Like, we're just going to do the black version of this. So it's just still just covering and creatively like a little bit of a cop-out. Yes.
I'll give anything gets a chance. But you know what they're going to have an uphill battle dealing with this movie? John Candy physically was such a teddy bear, and you felt bad because he was so earnest in that movie, and then but he was also so vulnerable. Like, do Kevin Hart or Will Smith's a legit good actor, do either of them have that vulnerability where you feel almost like puppy dog sad for them?
No,
and Johnny was Mr. Vulnerable. I mean, that was him. I mean, he walked with a big heart, and
worst wrestling name ever. Mr. Vulnerable is entering the ring. He's mopping the tears back.
Everybody hurts. That's Mr. Vulnerable's music.
Yeah. So
he was, man.
And so a couple thoughts. One is, I hate, Candy could have been nominated for Best Actor for that role. And I hate the idea that we always look at comedy. It's like, oh, it's got to be serious. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be serious. He was funny and serious.
Kevin Kline broke that with a fish called Wanda.
Right.
That was really the first time like a comic performance got nominated and actually won. But you're right, man. I think it's harder to do it, to have both, to make people laugh and make people cry in the same moment. And Candy should have been nominated. John should have been nominated in Animal House. It was one of the greatest performances ever. But,
Will Smith and Kevin Hart are going to have gyms set up on the set, and they're personal trainers, and they're going to be 4% body fat, and it's not going to have the same thing as the big lump of love that was John Candy. He won't be able to smoke. They won't be able to smoke like he was smoking. Like that scene. And one of the great Ray Charles songs, Jim will probably appreciate this, The Mess Around. Yeah. That scene where he's driving the car at night and
I don't even know where we're going.
Steve's asleep and they put the Ray Charles song on and he's playing the air sax and then he's playing the piano. You got to find that scene. And he's smoking the whole time. But
and just that perfect cutaway where Steve Martin looks and he's the devil. He's literally Satan.
Well, that's after he spins out of control. But the part where he's enjoying himself playing, and it's a great Ray Charles song. That it's a kind of a deep cut Ray Charles song as well. We'll play the clip. Sorry, I love this song. So you got to be fat and you got to be smoking.
Steve Martin's sleeping in the passenger seat.
Right.
Johnny.
They're doing the mess around. Everybody doing the mess around. Now, when I say stop, don't you move. When I say go, just shake your leg and do the mess around.
Yeah, Johnny.
It's getting squirrely. You got to be fat and smoking during this scene. It's not going to work with a chiseled Will Smith who's chewing Nicorette. They start playing the sax.
This will be the Kevin Hart part, right. But you're right.
Nice, Johnny.
Now this band's gonna play from 9 to 1. Everybody has everyone doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around. Everybody do the mess around.
Honking the horn and flute. Oh, yeah.
That was Ray Charles doing the mess around.
I love that scene.
You know what movie I haven't thought about in decades, and if we didn't watch that just now, I may not have. It definitely, watching it when you're a kid, I wouldn't know what it looks like now, how it aged. Remember Armed and Dangerous? John Candy and Eugene Levy?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Loved that movie.
I like Eugene because he had huge eyebrows, or still does, and I feel like we're part of an elite fraternity. All right, Gina, what else we got? I don't know where Jim is, but
I think
he's
having a connection problem. So Kamala Harris has picked her code name for the White House, and I have a list of the code names that many of the leaders have picked.
She gets to pick?
Yeah.
This is not like the old days.
Candidate. But here's the thing. It's a code name. So why is it being announced? Why is it in the headline? It's a code.
Really good point.
Kamala has picked hers. She's allowed to pick from a list of that security agents have given her, and she chose Pioneer. She selected from this pre-approved list that she's given by the White House Communications Agency. Biden is sticking with his former code name, which is Celtic or Celtic. And let's see, Jill Biden, she's Capri. Do you remember? Oh, wait, Donald Trump.
That'd be fun. I'm picturing a scene where they're like, all right, Mr. Trump, here's what we got. You can choose one of these. You can go with chunky, lard ass. We got liar still available, Brillo head, and monkey nipples. So just go ahead and circle one of those and
don't think about it too hard. Just whatever pops to mind.
Yeah, well, Obama, I think it was Viking or Viking Warrior. Yeah. What was it, Tim? Was it 2? Was it Viking Warrior?
It was Golden Viking Warrior.
Oh, it was 3. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's not available, but we still got chunky, lard ass, loading pants, and loves to golf. So just go ahead and circle one of those.
Yeah, I think they used to assign the nicknames. Wasn't the fucking Cheney? He was Angler, and Bush was like some cowboy something.
Well, I can prove
it's got to be a nickname like you'd get in high school. You don't get to do your own. People give you a moniker based on your behavior, your outstanding physical characteristics. Yes.
Well, I can prove that you get to pick your own now because Trump's is Mogul and Melania's is Muse. Donald Trump Jr. is reportedly called Mountaineer. Ivanka is Marvel.
Melania's is Rescue Me.
It's just an SOS. Eric Trump is Marksman. Mike Pence is Hoosier, and his wife is Hummingbird.
Oh, how sweet.
Oh.
Again, I'm not sure why we're announcing this, but those are their code names.
Wasn't there a movie about the first lady that had her name in there? I'm trying to think, what was
Guarding Tess.
Oh, Tess. Was Tess the...
That was Nick Cage and Shirley MacLaine. He was like...
Right. Nick Belushi.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Her husband had died, the president, and she was still alive, but she gets lifetime Secret Service protection.
Yeah.
Wow, good poll, Brian.
Please, Chris, verify that. It feels familiar.
I wonder, there used to be about every 3 years a presidential movie would come out. I wonder if Trump has set the genre back a decade. Like, I wonder if it's going to be too distracting now. Like, Mr. President, it's some Morgan Freeman or something. I wonder if it's going to screw up the genre.
Yeah. What was the one with Annette Beatty when she starts dating the president?
That wasn't Dave. That was another one.
No.
Yeah,
no.
I loved that. There was a lot of
Benning and Michael Douglas?
Yes.
Yeah, American President.
Yeah.
Don't forget, the president has been in movies. He was in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Oh, okay. So it's got to say, Karen.
He's the movie star.
Tiger Woods, not the best golfer in his house right now. He also caddies for the best junior golfer. That's Charlie Woods, his 11-year-old son. So with his dad carrying his clubs and whispering tips into his ears, Charlie won a U.S. kids golf event at Hammock Creek Golf Course in Palm City, Florida, shooting a 3-under par and taking the 9-hole tournament by 5 strokes. Tiger says Charlie's still learning how to play, and he says he's asking me the right questions. I've kept it competitive with his par, so it's just been an absolute blast to go out there and just be with him. So if Tiger Woods your caddy, you probably do pretty well.
Hammock Creek sounds like a club with the slowest service in the clubhouse ever. Like, I ordered an Arnie Palmer like 2 days ago. Chill, dude.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Stirring it up.
If I ever have some sort of a compound, it'll be called Hammock Creek.
Hammock Creek, boy,
That's
that just sounds like a place you could fucking forget about the world for a while, right?
Just chill.
Just have a little Jim Belushi Kush, little Captain Jack, and then just stretch out onto that. What is less practical in terms of? All right, I'm going to give you 3. I'll give you 3 potential ways to recline, sleep, or convalesce, and you tell me what is the least practical, but which had the most promise. A, the waterbed. When I was a kid, people had waterbeds. It seemed like a good idea. It's the worst thing ever to sleep on. And
especially
it had
2 people.
It also had this big wooden frame around it that when you jumped on it, you'd always hit your shin on the frame and you'd sink down into it. And you couldn't get off it. And you couldn't get up without waking up. You know, I'd get up in the middle of the night and I'd take a leak. I would wake my kids up who weren't even on the bed if you're in a waterbed. It's like moving or like rolling. All right, that's bad. Second choice, futon. Everyone thought it was so cool, but it was a fucking shit show to sleep on a futon. Third choice, hammock. Difficult to get on, hard, you have to sort of balance it a little. It's hard to get off.
It's short-term recreation. You don't want to spend the night in a hammock.
Okay, so worst to best, power rankings on sleeping.
I have the answer, so I'll go last.
All right,
you
really? Go, Gina.
Well, we used to specifically go to our friend Shira's house to sleep over because she had a waterbed. So there is some sort of allure for the 11 and under crowd. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say as an adult, worst, even though I love them more than anything in the world, it has to be the hammock. It's cumbersome. It's never as fun as you think it's going to be. And I say that owning 2 portable hammocks. They're awesome, but you don't want to sleep in them. Then I would say the waterbed sucks second. And the futon, just because it's flat and you're not suspended in midair or over water, I guess has to win.
Brian?
I'm going completely opposite. I've always slept in all 3. The futon's the worst. The futon's the stone worst. Not at least, Gina, I'm with you on at least the waterbed has a novelty factor because I too was like
so
10
fun.
years old. My uncle had one. I was like, oh, this thing's awesome. And I will at least draw a line between the net hammock, which is shitty. That's hard to sleep in.
The
hammock that's like canvas and has like the wooden rods that hold it flat. You know what I'm saying? The ones.
I wasn't picturing the flat hammock.
You can sleep on that and sleep well.
I disagree. I was going the exact opposite way because I own 2 of those. Literally, I leave them in my car for fun. But that's why I said like the blanket swaddle that you just sink into and it just rocks. Nope. That's the best.
My feeling with the hammock is when they start building the metal frame and stretching it and stuff, I feel a lot like the guy who's riding the motorcycle, but it's got the full fairing and the stereo unit and the weird training wheels that come down at the stop. Like at a certain point, it's not a motorcycle anymore.
Right.
It gets worse mileage than a Prius at that point, And I feel the hammock, I picture like Gilligan's Island, stretched between 2 trees. Yeah, when they start really coming with a lot of galvanized steel and you're putting it together and stuff, like at a certain point, it becomes a non-hammock when it gets stretched taut. Yes.
But in the desert near Joshua Tree, there's a place called Hammock Village, and it's the most amazing thing you'll ever experience. It's just those big, giant, like shade tarp things over you with various hammocks swinging around, and that's what success looks like to me.
I had, speaking of sleep, I had just tons of weird dreams last night. I was like tossing and turning, but one of the main dreams was I'm so obsessed with Dr. Drew and his travel. So Dr. Drew was traveling, and Dr. Drew's wife, as you know, she's nutty, and I say horrible things about her all the time, but she's a former travel agent, and she's always taken care of Drew when it comes to travel. And he was explaining to me, I called him the other day. He's like, "Oh, I'm just sitting in the plane getting ready to take off." By the way, the pandemic is bad when you're hearing about people flying and you're getting jealous because you get drinks and food and you get to be left alone for 6 hours. And I said, when you got on the plane, did you turn right or did you turn left? And he said, I turned left. And I said, it's a 777, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, it's a wide body. Like the last 5 times I've flown first class is not first class. It's it's an Airbus or a 737 with they removed a seat, but it's not, it's turn right. It's turn left, you're in the cockpit. So I'm like, you turn left, it separates first class, right? Mm-hmm. There's a division there. And I was just sort of fantasizing about his wife making these travel plans, and he's up there in the 777, he's ordering cocktails and everything else. And I literally just had a whole dream about being in an empty 777 last night. That's how weirdly nuts and bolts I am as a thinker. I literally just was talking to Drew about flying on a 777. I'm like, that's what I'm going to dream about. Of course, we got into a plane wreck and everything else, but there you go. All right, let's do a couple more, Gina Grad.
All right, well, let's go into the wilderness, shall we? So there's this video that has gone viral the last few days. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It involves a bison and some people, I think, maybe doing the Sturgis thing on their motorcycles. So I'll show you in a second. But this weekend, this viral video that went crazy over the weekend shows a bison dragging a thrashing woman in a South Dakota state park after she reportedly got too close to a calf. And the footage of the attack last week shows the bison taking hold of the woman, dragging her across the street into the grass. The animal continues to shake her and spin her around as these bikers look on in horror. The animal ripped off her pants before running off, as onlookers described that the woman's unconscious. An estimated 500 bison were blocking the roadway within the Custer State Park when the motorcyclist got too close to kind of, get a good picture and get up close. The bison ends up running around with just her jeans like hanging off of his horn tusk, whatever the hell they are. There's all kinds of different video. This was the most not to be graphic, but the one that showed the most.
The sexiest.
I did not see this.
Oh my God, it got her.
Yep, and it's dragging her.
Holy.
And
oh my God!
You
see him coming over. There she is. Just drag her in the grass.
So it's like hooked her pants and it's just swinging her around.
She has no pants on?
No, not anymore.
Oh my God!
I like how calm this partner is.
The play-by-play is spot on.
They're one of the very first Man Show videos like this we ever showed was the bull tearing the guy's pants off in the ring after they ran with the bulls, which was crazy. It's also once they hook something, like if you hook your jeans and you hook your jeans just right, you could lift a Winnebago up off of those jeans. Like you're done. You're hooked. It's interesting. I was watching a story or was hearing about a story about a goat that like stole this guy's computer in Germany. He was like nude sunbathing or whatever. And I was like, how does a goat steal a computer? The goat hooked its horn around the bag.
It was a boar, I think.
Oh, the boar. Sorry. The boar hooked its horn around the bag the computer was in and took it off. Thank God the guy was naked and chased the boar down and got his computer back. But
he got it.
Yeah, man. Watch out with Mother Nature. You never know.
Speaking of that, one more nature story, a heroic nature story, which you've probably heard the last few days. Shark Week, very real for a man in Australia who punched a shark in the face to save his wife. Mark Rapley and his wife Chantel were surfing when a shark knocked her off her surfboard and grabbed a hold of her right calf. Rapley reacted, paddled over to the wife, started punching the shark in the eye until it let go and swam away. The couple made it to shore where they were met by paramedics, and she was airlifted to a hospital for surgery, but did not think about it. The guy just defended the honor and the calf of his lady.
You know, Brian knows especially, I've always talked about how surfing is a way of life. It's not really a sport or a hobby. It's like it transcends everything. And I've always said, like, I kind of worry. I've never want my kids to get into surfing because the guys I worked with surfing, when there was a swell coming in, they didn't show up for work.
Oh,
they were gone.
Everything else comes second.
Right. And to back up that thesis, think about this. It seems like almost every story I've ever heard about a surfer being attacked by a great white shark, they go back to surfing. And I got to tell you,
some continue.
If I worked at a Costco and I was attacked by a great white shark, I would never go back to that Costco. Maybe it's a poor example. If I worked at a toll booth and was attacked by a great white shark, whatever my job is,
land shark, collecting for UNICEF,
whatever it is I was doing, if that hobby, if I went out to one of my vintage car races and was attacked by a shark, I'd probably quit. I wouldn't go back to doing that. These people all go back to doing it. Pure soul surfer. I mean, that's how ingrained it is in them. That's how big a part of it is in their life. Every time they interview one of these guys who got the 200 staples in his side from the bull shark, they always go, "Yeah, I'm doing it again. I'm back."
They are as compelled to surf.
Yes.
Well, they are as compelled to surf as the shark is to bite them.
That's right. So it's a way of life.
Was Dan Aykroyd the land shark?
Was Chevy Chase?
Chevy Chase.
Yeah, it was probably Chevy Chase. And it was probably one of those bits that was so stupid it was funny. Like you kind of knew what it was like. Candy Graham.
Collecting for Jerry's kids.
Right. Somebody was definitely high when they came up with land shark. That's definitely high talk. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.